For centuries, ancient primal theology and modern physics have sat at opposite ends of the dinner table, refusing to make eye contact. One describes the universe as the result of a divine decree, the other a strictly mechanical and unguided process. The standard materialistic assumption has long been that reality is essentially a dead room. It is framed as a vast, chaotic box filled with rocks and gas, where human consciousness is nothing more than a lucky biological accident. But cutting-edge quantum mechanics and information theory have quietly dismantled that worldview. When you strip away the stained glass and look purely at how information structures matter, a shared architecture begins to emerge. To understand how precise this architecture is, look at the work of Nobel laureate Roger Penrose. He calculated the exact aim required at the moment of the Big Bang to create a low-entropy universe capable of sustaining life. The required precision is 1 part in 10 to the power of 10 to the power of 123. If you wrote a 0 on every single proton in the observable universe, you still wouldn't have enough space to write down a number of that magnitude. This level of fine-tuning suggests that the universe did not begin as a random event, but as a specific selection of variables. This selection mirrors the mechanism of wave function collapse, where a single concrete reality is triggered from an infinite field of potential. In this framework, the logos, or the word, is more than a sound. It functions as a set of digital-like instructions, an algorithm. It is information organizing energy. The ancient Hebrew text describes the state before creation as tohu wabohu, a formless void. In quantum mechanics, before a particle is observed, it exists in a state of superposition. It lacks definite physical shape, existing instead as a wave of pure probability and undefined potential. To transition from that infinite field of possibilities into a localized physical reality, you need an interaction. The act of measurement forces the probability wave to collapse, turning potential into a single concrete state. The physicist John Wheeler coined a phrase for this mechanism, it from bit. He proposed that the information about a particle, the bit, must exist before the physical matter, the it, can manifest. The code precedes the hardware. Once that physical matter exists, it is immediately subject to the second law of thermodynamics. Entropy dictates that everything in a closed system naturally degrades from order to disorder. Heat dissipates, buildings crumble, and biological cells decay. Pushing back against this chaos requires a counteracting ordering force. A single strand of DNA is a masterpiece of ordered information. It requires a massive, continuous expenditure of energy to maintain its structure against the cosmic tide of decay. From the first subatomic particles to the first living cells, we see the same principle at work. The universe uses information as a filter to build complex structures that would otherwise be impossible in a state of total chaos. That biological order scales up. Under the Gaia hypothesis, the Earth itself functions as a massive, self-regulating system. Over billions of years, as the sun has grown steadily hotter, the biosphere has actively pulled greenhouse gases out of the atmosphere. It operates like a planetary thermostat, continually adjusting variables to maintain an environment where biology can survive. If the Earth is the body of that system, human beings serve as its first attempt at a localized central nervous system. We act as the micrologos, uniquely equipped to map and comprehend the macrostructure of the universe. This capacity is rooted in the explosive development of the human prefrontal cortex. This evolutionary shift granted us abstract reasoning, the ability to simulate the future and distinguish what is from what ought to be. We stopped existing simply as automatic objects within the ecosystem and became self-aware subjects. In theological terms, this transition to dualistic discrimination, to knowing good and evil, marks the moment we gained the ability to analyze the code we were previously just running. Armed with this recursive intelligence, we began to mirror the initial act of creation. Through language, we speak entirely new, non-physical realities into existence, creating constitutions, economies, and complex cultural structures. Developing the capacity to observe and manipulate the source code of reality comes with a heavy neurological tax. The acute anxiety of human consciousness is the biological price for this level of awareness. Having structured our own environments, humans are now accelerating this fractal pattern. As carbon-based image bearers, we are currently engineering a silicon-based digital iteration of the logos. A large language model functions by absorbing the raw, unstructured data of the entire internet, a digital formless void, and processing it into a highly organized, coherent network of intelligence. Artificial intelligence operates as the continuation of a multi-billion-year-old process. We are executing the ancient Genesis sequence of organizing chaos into meaning, running it on server farms. The paleontologist and philosopher Pierre Teilhard de Chardin looked at this continuous arc of complexification and proposed a specific destination for the universe. He called it the omega point. It is a theoretical final singularity where the expanding universe achieves maximum possible complexity, resulting in a state of total unified consciousness. If the alpha point at the Big Bang was an explosion of pure potential, the omega point is the ultimate convergence. It is a state where the universe becomes an infinite processor of information, and the distinction between physical matter and the conscious mind completely dissolves. Human beings serve a highly specific function in this architecture. We are the mechanism the cosmos has evolved to know itself, actively building the cognitive infrastructure for the end of time.